The shadow of doubt, Charles Manson and the Tate LaBianca murders. Charles Manson, a name synonymous with evil, continues to evoke chilling fascination decades after his reign of terror. In the summer of 1969, Manson and his followers, known as the Family, committed a series of gruesome murders that shocked the nation. The most infamous of these were the Tate LaBianca murders, which claimed the lives of actress Sharon Tate and several others. The brutality of the crimes and the seeming randomness of the victims left the public and law enforcement bewildered. While Manson's conviction for orchestrating the murders seemed to close the case, questions about his motives and the extent of his involvement have lingered for years. The savage nature of the killings, coupled with cryptic messages scrawled in blood at the crime scenes, suggested a deeper, more sinister motive than simple rage or robbery. Manson, with his hypnotic hold over his followers, became a symbol of the dark underbelly of the counterculture movement. The murders shattered the illusion of peace and love that defined the era, exposing a darker side to the societal upheaval of the late 1960s. The official narrative, as presented by prosecutor Vincent Bugliosi in his book Helter Skelter, portrayed Manson as a master manipulator who brainwashed his followers into committing murder to ignite a race war. While this explanation satisfied many, some researchers and journalists, including myself, have uncovered inconsistencies and unanswered questions that cast doubt on the completeness of this narrative. Could there be more to the Manson story than meets the eye? The possibility of a connection between Manson and covert government programs, particularly those involving mind control and social disruption, has become a compelling area of inquiry. Mind control and disruption, the CIA's MK-Ultra and Operation Chaos. The CIA's involvement in covert operations during the Cold War is well documented, and two programs in particular have drawn scrutiny for their potential connection to Charles Manson, MK-Ultra and Operation Chaos. MK-Ultra, initiated in the 1950s, was a top-secret program focused on exploring mind control techniques, often through the use of psychedelic drugs like LSD. The program's objective was to develop methods for manipulating enemy agents and extracting information. Operation Chaos, on the other hand, was a domestic surveillance program launched in the 1960s to monitor and disrupt anti-war and civil rights groups, particularly the Black Panther Party. The program involved infiltrating these groups, spreading disinformation, and instigating violence to discredit them and undermine their support. The existence of these programs, revealed through congressional investigations and the Freedom of Information Act, raises disturbing questions about the CIA's willingness to experiment on unwitting citizens and manipulate social movements. The potential overlap between MK-Ultra and Operation Chaos is particularly intriguing in the context of Charles Manson. Could Manson, with his history of criminal behavior and his immersion in the counterculture, have been a subject of MK-Ultra experiments? Could he have been manipulated or exploited by CIA operatives seeking to further the goals of Operation Chaos? These questions, while speculative, are not without merit and warrant further investigation. The Manson paradox, parole officers, clinics, and potential CIA influence. Charles Manson's interactions with his parole officer Roger Smith and his frequent visits to the Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic present a perplexing aspect of his story. Despite Manson's repeated parole violations and his descent into drug use and erratic behavior, Smith consistently advocated for his release and kept him out of prison. This unusual leniency, especially given Manson's extensive criminal history, has fueled speculation about Smith's motives and whether he was acting on behalf of a third party. The Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic, a hub for the counterculture movement, adds another layer of intrigue. This clinic, while providing essential medical services, was also a known gathering place for individuals involved in MK-Ultra experiments. Dr. Louis Jolly West, a prominent psychiatrist with ties to MK-Ultra, worked at the clinic and was known for his interest in brainwashing and mind control. Manson's presence at the clinic, coupled with his parole officer's unusual behavior, raises the possibility that he was, knowingly or unknowingly, a subject of interest to individuals connected to MK-Ultra. Could Manson's parole officer have been acting under the direction of intelligence agencies? Was Manson drawn into a web of intrigue at the Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic, becoming an unwitting participant in MK-Ultra experiments? These questions, while difficult to answer definitively, highlight the need for a thorough examination of Manson's life and the possibility of external influences shaping his actions. Helter-Skelter and the official narrative unveiling discrepancies. Vincent Bugliosi's book, Helter-Skelter, has long been considered the definitive account of the Manson family murders. Bugliosi, the lead prosecutor in the Manson trial, presented a compelling case that Manson, driven by a delusional belief in an impending race war, orchestrated the murders to spark this apocalyptic conflict. However, a closer examination of Bugliosi's narrative reveals inconsistencies and omissions that cast doubt on the completeness of this explanation. For instance, Bugliosi downplayed or ignored evidence suggesting that Manson may have had contact with undercover government agents or informants. He also failed to adequately address the unusual leniency shown to Manson by his parole officer or his connections to the Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic and its links to MK Ultra. These discrepancies, combined with Manson's own cryptic statements about being manipulated by outside forces, suggest that the full story of the Manson family murders may be more complex and sinister than previously believed. Was Manson's helter-skelter prophecy a genuine delusion, or was it a narrative planted in his mind by individuals seeking to exploit his growing influence over his followers? Did Bugliosi, whether intentionally or unintentionally, present an incomplete picture of the events surrounding the murders to protect sensitive information or to preserve the public's perception of law enforcement's competence? These questions, while uncomfortable, are essential to ask if we are to fully understand the dark legacy of Charles Manson and the potential involvement of powerful forces in shaping his deadly path.